Well, I'm sure you can already tell by the title, but Stuffies is moving. So let's talk about the reason why we are moving. So the very short answer is that we are simply running out of space. Our current home is just under 1,200 square feet. We have 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. We have 2 little ones, and then my husband and I, of course. If it was just us, then I think we would be here much longer. But since I am running Stuffies out of my home, we are running out of space very quickly. So the short answer is just we need more space. We love our little home so much. It has been such a blessing for our family. It is the home that we brought our 2 babies home to. So actually leaving this home, I think, is going to be a little bit emotional and hard for me because this is the only home that our children have known. But it is definitely time for some more space. I think I recorded a while ago a video of kind of what my office typically looks like. I can even show it to you now, but there is not a lot of room in here, especially as my business has been growing and I've been adding a lot of products to it. So anytime I add an accessory or a DIY kit, that means I need more space to put those products or the supplies for those products. So there are often times that my office can get a little out of hand, especially when I'm getting yarn shipments, polyfill, really any shipment at all. It just comes up in my office, and just this space right behind me is pretty much the only open space other than the 2 sides on either side of the bed. So very quickly it gets cramped in here. If you want to see a full office tour of my current office, I did record a tour, and that is actually my last video, I believe. So you can go over there and watch it if you want to see the full tour and just every single little detail that's in my office. Actually, when I recorded that tour, that was the day that we were getting pictures done of our homes. So of course, since we have bought a new home, we have to sell our current home, which means that we had to do showings and pictures and all of that stuff. So for the pictures, we actually had to take a lot of my stuff that was kind of scattered around the floor, and we had to put them all in the closet because they, of course, were not taking pictures of the closet. So all of my stuff was kind of in the closet. So you do see that on my office tour video. But my family and I are definitely ready and excited for a new space. Another big reason for us moving is that I am a stay-at-home mom on top of running my business. So just the way that our house is set up right now, so my office is upstairs, and then the kids, well, where the kids play, because our kids do not currently have a playroom. It's just downstairs in our living space, which means we have toys everywhere in our living space downstairs. So while my kids are awake and playing, I cannot be upstairs in my office because they're still very little, and I don't feel comfortable with being in my office probably for more than 2 minutes before I need to go and check on them to see kind of what they're up to and as they're playing. So that means during the day, I am pretty much downstairs. And thankfully, I am able to do a lot of my work downstairs that I don't necessarily have to be in my office. I just can't record content or I can't pack orders while my kids are awake. All of that has to happen while they are either sleeping or during their quiet time and nap time, which, like right now, my son is napping and my daughter is doing her quiet time. She's a little bit older, so she is able to play independently and keep herself busy with some activities that I have for her. So one of the main things that we're looking for in our new home, for this layout specifically, was to have an office space that was right next to the playroom, or in this case, the home that we did actually end up getting, the playroom and the office space is just in the same big room. And then also, very importantly, was an access point to the outside. That way, when I'm in my office and I'm working, well, office/playroom, the kids are able to just kind of go outside and play, and I could be right there. And then actually the office that I'm in now is at the front of the house, and then of course our backyard is out back. So even if the kids were outside playing, I wouldn't be able to see them from the window of my office. They would have to be out in the front yard for me to be able to see them, and there is a road right outside there. So that wouldn't work either. But going back to why we chose to get a new home, other than, of course, running out of space. So as my business was starting to grow, I was starting to think that I need another space. So our 2 options that we thought of was for me to get another office space outside of the home, or to just buy a new home. So in the beginning, I was actually looking into trying to find an office that was outside of my home. a place where I could bring my kids during the week, and I'd be able to just have a play area for them and then my office space. So while that definitely was an option, we ultimately decided on working towards finding a new home, which is why it took us so much longer. So it's been about 2 years since we first thought of the idea of moving, but it's now been over a year and a half since we first started looking for a home. So that process was definitely a very long process. There were definitely times in there that we just weren't sure where we wanted to end up or the location that we wanted to be. My parents were actually in the process of moving closer to us, so we kind of wanted to wait and see where they landed, and then that might have determined where we ended up moving to. And then on top of all of that, the housing market is just really crazy at the time that we were looking. So yeah, there's definitely a lot of factors that went into that, but I'm so excited to say that we do finally have a home. It's been about a month and a half or so, and I'm so excited to finally, in just a couple of days, be moving into our new space. It is definitely going to be quite the transition as we move into our new home. There are just a little bit of updates. The entire upstairs needs to be painted. The downstairs, actually, in the two main spaces, which I do have a video of my new knitting room and my new office / playroom, so I will be putting that in at the end of the video. But we do need to get some renovations done in the basement. So the time that I recorded the before tour of the basement, which again, that's at the end of the video, I thought that the renovations would be starting this week, so I recorded that, I believe, on Monday. It's now on Friday, but renovations actually start on Monday, so an entire week later than I thought, which means that the basement is probably not going to be ready by the time we move in, which is a little bit disappointing, and it's going to make things a little bit chaotic as I try to makeshift a office until the basement is ready for us. But that being said, I'm still so excited about this new space. I'm excited to bring you along with me as I set up my new office and my new knitting room and just all of the renovations and I don't know, just everything else that is going to be coming up. I'm ready to just have more space, and hopefully that means better organization for my business. That's not going to drive me crazy stepping into my office. Of course, things are going to get crazy every now and then, still, even with all the space. But just being in this new space, I think that it's going to help the days flow a little bit easier. And I'm so excited that my kids are going to have a dedicated space to play and that my office is right there. So that way my kids and I can just be all together during the day. But overall, I do hope that this new space will allow Stuffies to continue to grow, whether that's new products or it just means that I'm working more efficiently. So that might mean more tutorials or more DIY kits. Either way, I'm just excited for the newness of it all. So that's pretty much it for now, and I'm just glad that I could finally sit down and share with you guys that Stuffies is moving and that I'm going to have a new office space soon. So now I'm going to show you the 2 clips that I recorded at the new house where I'm showing you my knitting room and my new office before they are officially done. So before any paint, renovations, furniture, anything like that, pretty much just empty rooms, but I do explain to you my vision for each room and kind of how they're going to be used. So I hope you enjoy that. So I'm in my brand new knitting room right now, and I'm so excited to bring you along on a little sneak peek of this room and what it's going to be used for. So in my previous house, I had one office space / knitting room where I did everything as far as my business goes. In this new house, we are going to be doing something a little bit differently, just because of how the layout of the house is. So the guest bedroom in my previous house was also in my office. So this is also going to be the guest bedroom, and then it is going to be my knitting room as well. So that's pretty much all that this is going to be. It's not going to technically be my office, as my office is going to be downstairs, which I will show you at some point. So the office space downstairs is primarily going to be used for my work area, so where I'm going to be doing my computer work, and then also my packing station, and of course it is going to have where I store all of my supplies for my DIY kits and anything packing order related. So that's kind of the difference between these 2 rooms. And then just being down in the basement, it's a little bit darker down there. And then this room does have 2 windows on it, which is really nice because it's going to allow a lot of natural light in for when I'm recording my reels for you guys. So in my previous office, we did have one big window, but it was just on the one side of the room. So recording in there was a little bit tricky sometimes because the natural light, depending on the time of the day, sometimes it would work well, and other times I was struggling with the light. But having light come in from 2 different directions on the room, I hope will be helpful for when I'm recording. So let me give you a little bit of a tour of this knitting room. So here's the door, and then if you come over here, my husband actually just took off the closet doors here. We are going to remove that shelf up there, but this is going to be where my giant yarn wall, that big cube shelf, is going to be going in. So we're kind of gonna slip it in there. We measured it out to make sure that will fit, so hopefully the measurements are correct and hopefully it will fit. So that is going to be a good backdrop for a lot of my videos, and hopefully that will work out, and it's a good spot for my knitting wall. And then if you just come over here, this is going to be where we are putting the guest bed, which is also the bed that I do a lot of my knitting on. And then you can see here, this is already a lot of the curtains and lots of different stuff that my husband just took down, and we just put it in a pile because we need to get rid of that. So in these bags are almost all of my completed stuffies, because we have showings at our house and we needed somewhere to put all of my stuffies because they were kind of just laid out all over the floor of my office back at our previous home. So in order to have showings at our home, we just needed all of the stuffies out. So that's kind of why they're all over the floor, and we just needed a spot for them. And because this is a fairly nice, clean room, this is a great place to put them. So here's that second window that I was talking about. And then over here, there's just a bathroom in here, pretty outdated, but very pink. But this is going to be our guest bathroom. And then over here, which is really nice about having the guest bedroom in here as well, is that we have a whole second closet in this room for our guests. So whenever guests are coming to stay, they have their own separate closet, whereas before they did not have any closet because it was full of things like my stuffies and shipping boxes and all of that. So it's a nice sized room, great for when guests come. They have their own bathroom, and then a great place for me to just come and knit during my kids' quiet time and nap time and record videos. So that's pretty much all the tour for right now. So this is definitely a little bit of an older home, but on the first floor anyway, it's actually in really great shape. As you can tell from this room, the floors are really nice, and then the only thing that we need to do in this room is just paint it pretty much. And I'm really excited for this room, and hopefully it's gonna allow me to continue to have the space to be able to create content for you guys, especially short form content over on my social media. So that is pretty much the plans for this room. So downstairs in the basement, there's a little bit more work to be done. We do need to replace the ceilings, the walls, carpets, add a lot of lighting down there. So in the coming days, I will definitely be giving you a little tour on the before, and then once it's finished, I'll be showing you the after. But in order to get everything situated down there, we have to have the renovations first, and then we'll be able to move over my office. And then down there also is going to be my kids' playroom, which I'm super excited about, because right now in our current well, it will be our previous home, my kids don't have a playroom at all. It's just our living room. So it's going to be great that my kids have just a place to play, and then my office is right there, which is so awesome because I'll be able to work and be available for my kids and watch them play. So yeah, definitely a lot of fun things to come, and I can't wait to show you more of the house. Welcome to my new office. So basement renovations start tomorrow. So before that happens, I wanted to give you guys kind of a sneak peek of the basement / where I'm going to be running Sab Stuffies out of. So I'm excited for the basement to be done. First, I wanted to just bring you along and show you kind of what the plans are down here before this renovation starts. And then of course, I wanted to give you a before and after view as well. So let me flip you around and I will give you the tour of my new office. So starting right over here, right up against this wall, is going to pretty much be my office. So not a traditional office where it's a different room, but this, I'll show you why that is in just a minute. But right there, all the way to the end, are just going to be tables lined up right there. That first desk right there, right where kind of the slant is going to be my desk essentially. And then everything from here over is going to pretty much be my packing station. So I'm hoping to get a bunch of pegboards up here at the top of the wall, and that is going to be where all of my stickers, where my shipping printer label is going to go. my thank you cards, care and safety instructions cards, pretty much everything and anything to do with packing orders is gonna go up here. And then right underneath it, of course, is going to be the table for us to do some packing. So all that right there is going to be the main part of my office and where I'm doing a lot of my work. So we'll get to that room in just a minute. But if you come over here, this is going to be my kids' playroom right here. So I'm not sure exactly what the plan is for the playroom yet, but I do know that the couch is gonna go back there. We have a pretty big couch, so that is going to be a nice comfy spot for the kids, and then even for me to be able to go over there and join the kids while I'm either knitting or working on my laptop. So the main thing that we were looking for in a new house was to have a space that allowed me to be working and next to the kids while they play. So that was so important for me and my family. And this house really just kind of knocked it out of the park for what we were looking for. So just having my office right here, of course, my kids are going to be able to access part of my office here, but that's why everything is going to be off the floor. So I'm not going to have any like bins or anything that they can get into down here. It's all going to be up on the wall. So this is going to allow me to be able to pack orders while my kids are awake and while they're playing. And of course, it just allows me to be with my kids and be present with them. So it just sets me up a little bit better as a working / stay-at-home mom. And then another big thing we were looking for when we were searching for a house is that the bottom floor or the basement has a walkout door. So we do have an access point right to the outside, right from the playroom and my office. So that way, if the kids want to go outside, they are able to go right outside. All right, now let's continue into the other half of my office. Okay, so this room right here is going to be just like the storage room where I keep my yarn. We'll probably have another table right in the center here where there'll be another packing station. Up against this wall, I'm hoping to have a bunch of, I believe they're called industrial shelves, and a bunch of bins. And this is going to be my stuffy storage because right now all of my stuffies are just in a bunch of bags. So I'm hoping to have them in a bunch of clear bins. That way I can easily access them and know what stuffy is where. So over here is just going to be, I'm not 100% sure right now, but probably just some more storage. So yarn, shipping boxes, same thing with this wall here. And yeah, so lots of different walls to be able to put stuff up against and lots of storage room. So in this part right here, we would actually love to add a door there and kind of have it closed in. That way the kids are just not getting into all the yarn and shipping box and, you know, whatever else goes back there. So we could just put up a gate, but I was thinking that we would just do a door that's split in half. So you can either close the door fully or you can have the top half open and the bottom closed off, kind of like a gate, but just to have both options. So we will see what happens. So for the renovations, one of the main things that we needed down here was lighting. So in this room over here, you can see that there's no ceilings up there. And then we have some drop ceilings here. So we are going to replace the ceilings and we're going to add a bunch of lighting because there's no lighting in the playroom. And just have this one light fixture here and one in there. So it is fairly dark in here and we do need to add some lighting. And then beyond that, we are going to replace the 2 rugs. We are going to replace the walls and just a fresh coat of paint, maybe new baseboards. I'm not sure exactly, but I do know that everything is going to be a little bit more fresh down here and lots more lighting. So that is pretty much all the plans that we have for the basement. I am of course going to be taking you through all of the renovation process, although there probably might not be as much because we are having people do the renovations for us. We've done renovations before in our old house and it definitely takes a lot of time and effort and skill, some skills that we definitely do not have. And with having 2 kids this time around as opposed to no kids, it's definitely going to take a little bit more time if we were trying to do that ourselves. So I'll definitely give updates. I'm sure we'll come here every day to see the progress that has been made. And then of course I'll be taking you through all of the setting up of my office, probably the playroom or, you know, anything like that. So that is it for now. And I hope you enjoyed the somewhat tour of the unrenovated office space for now. That's it for now. Bye.